Welcome back to ZE Coins. Today we're diving deep into one of the most underrated coins in US history, the 1977 Lincoln 1-cent penny. It might look like just another old coin lying at the bottom of your drawer, but what if I told you that this tiny piece of copper could be worth as much as $1.16 million? That's right, $1.16 million for a penny that many people overlook every single day. Now, before you go rummaging through your change jar, let's talk about the history behind the 1977 Lincoln penny. What makes it so special? What errors or features should you be looking for? And how can a single coin go from being worth just 1 cent to selling for over $1 million at auction? Stay with me because we're going to break it all down. First, let's look at the history. The Lincoln penny was first introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the coin featured Lincoln's bust on the front and the famous wheat ears on the back. That design ran until 1958. After that, the reverse was changed to the Lincoln Memorial, which stayed in place until 2008. Now the 1977 penny falls into that Lincoln Memorial series and was minted in 3 locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The Philadelphia Mint produced the most with over 4.4 billion coins minted. Denver came next, with nearly 4.2 billion, and San Francisco minted about 3.3 million proof coins. So if billions of these pennies were made, how could one possibly be worth over $1 million? Great question, and the answer lies in errors and varieties. You see, not all 1977 pennies were created equal. In fact, some came off the minting press with mistakes so rare they turned into goldmines for collectors. One of the most valuable types is the double die obverse penny. This means the coin was struck twice by the die but slightly misaligned, which causes doubling in the text and image. Look at the words "Liberty" or "In God We Trust." If you see a shadowed or doubled image there, you could be holding a small fortune. Another variety is the off-center strike. Imagine the coin not being properly placed when it was struck by the die, causing the design to appear off to one side. Sometimes this can be dramatic, with nearly half the coin blank. The more off-center it is, the rarer and more valuable it becomes. There's also the no mint mark proof error. In 1977, the San Francisco Mint struck proof coins which were supposed to have an S mint mark, but due to die errors a very small number were struck without any mint mark at all. If you come across a shiny proof 1977 penny without an S mark, you might want to get it authenticated fast. Now let's talk about the most famous 1977 penny of all, the one that sold for over $1.1 million. This was an ultra-rare double die variety in pristine condition. It had near perfect color, no visible wear, and extremely strong doubling visible to the naked eye. It went through multiple auctions and finally sold in a private sale for an astonishing $1.16 million, making it one of the most expensive pennies ever sold in history. And what's crazy is that it still looks like any ordinary penny at first glance. If it weren't professionally graded and certified, it might have ended up back in someone's pocket change. So here's what you need to do if you think you found something special. Step 1. Examine the coin closely. Look for any doubling, especially around the letters and numbers. Step 2. Check the alignment of the strike. Is it centered or off to one side? Step 3. Look for the mint mark. If it's missing and the coin looks like a proof shiny mirror-like surface, then you may be onto something rare. Step 4. Get it graded. Contact a professional grading company like PCGS or NGC. They'll authenticate the coin, grade its condition, and help you determine its value. Never clean the coin or try to improve its appearance. That can lower the value significantly. So what's the current market value of the 1977 Lincoln penny today? Well, a regular worn one is still worth just about a penny, maybe a few cents to a collector, but the rare era varieties, especially those in mint condition, can be worth anywhere from a few $100s to tens of thousands. And if you've got one of the ultra-rare double die examples in high grade, you could be looking at 6 or even 7 figures. Yes, 7 figures for a coin you might already own. So the next time you get change from the store, take a second and check those pennies. You never know what treasure you might find. And remember, just because a coin is old doesn't mean it's valuable, and just because a coin looks ordinary doesn't mean it's worthless. It's the details that make the difference. We're diving into one of the most fascinating stories in the world of numismatics. You may have a fortune sitting in your pocket change right now and not even know it. We're talking about the 1978 Lincoln 1-cent penny, a common-looking coin that, under the right circumstances, could be worth over $1.15 million. That's right. A single penny. Worth more than most luxury cars or even a house. So let's jump into the rich history of the 1978 Lincoln cent, what makes it so special, and why collectors are paying top dollar for it today. First, let's start with the basics. The Lincoln 1-cent coin was first introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. It was the first American coin to feature a real historical person. The design was created by Victor David Brenner and originally featured the famous wheat reverse design that ran until 1958. In 1959, to honor Lincoln's 150th birthday and the 50th anniversary of the penny, the reverse was changed to feature the Lincoln Memorial. That's the version we still see in coins minted through 2008. Now fast forward to the year 1978. This was the final full year of production before the United States Mint made some important changes to the die and design details in 1979. More on that later. The 1978 penny was minted in massive quantities. Over 5.5 billion pennies were produced at the Philadelphia Mint and over 4.2 billion at the Denver Mint. That means this coin is extremely common in circulation. So how can something so ordinary be worth over $1 million? That's where things get interesting. Not all 1978 pennies are created equal. Some are hiding secrets that make them incredibly rare and extremely valuable. We're talking about mint errors, die varieties, and uncirculated specimens in pristine condition. Let's start with mint errors. These are coins that left the mint with a mistake. Some 1978 pennies were struck off-center. Others show double strikes or broad strikes. And then there are the famous double die varieties. These occur when the die itself is engraved improperly, causing the coin to appear as if some of its features are doubled. A 1978 double die penny, especially one with strong doubling on the date or the word Liberty, can be worth thousands of dollars. And if it's a high-grade uncirculated example, it can fetch tens of thousands. But let's get to the real treasure. The $1 million penny. One particular 1978 Lincoln cent stunned the numismatic world when it sold for over $1.15 million at a private auction. What made this coin so special was a combination of factors. First, it was a proof coin mistakenly struck on a bronze planchet meant for earlier pennies. It was also struck at the wrong mint, believed to be a unique error never seen before. But the most important factor was its condition. It received a perfect grade of MS-70 red from Professional Grading Services. That's Mint State 70. Absolute perfection. No scratches. No discoloration. Just flawless copper brilliance. To put that into perspective, out of billions of 1978 pennies produced, only one known specimen has ever reached this level of condition combined with a rare error. It's like finding a needle in a mountain of haystacks. And that's why a private collector was willing to shell out over $1 million for it. Rarity and condition are the kingmakers in coin collecting. So what should you look for in your pocket change or coin collection? Well, here are the signs that your 1978 penny might be valuable. First, check the mint mark. If you see a small d below the date, it was minted in Denver. No mint mark means Philadelphia. While both can be valuable in high grades, errors are found on either type. Next, examine the coin for doubling. Use a magnifying glass and check for doubled letters in Liberty or In God We Trust or the date itself. If you find clear doubling that's not machine doubling, you could be looking at a major variety worth thousands. Next, check the color. Is it a deep red or more brown? High-grade red coins are worth more. That's because copper coins oxidize and turn brown over time. A bright red penny from 1978 means it was well preserved, possibly uncirculated. These can be worth hundreds to thousands of dollars depending on grade. And finally, if you think you have a special coin, get it graded. Professional grading services like PCGS and NGC can confirm the authenticity and quality of your coin. A certified high-grade error or variety will always bring higher prices on the market. So how's the current market looking for 1978 pennies? While the average circulated penny is still worth 1 cent, of course collectors are actively paying between $1.50 and $500 for examples in top condition. And rare errors or varieties can push well into the thousands. But the dream coin, the one in a million literally, is that perfect MS-70 red mint error that recently crossed the auction block for over $1.15 million. It proves that lightning can strike even with coins as common as the Lincoln cent. In conclusion, don't ignore your change jar. That dusty old cup of coins could be hiding a small fortune. Always check the date, examine the details, and do your research. The next $1 million penny could be sitting right in your hand. If you're into rare coins, hidden gems and historical treasures, then you're going to love today's video because we're diving deep into the story of the 1976 Lincoln 1-cent penny coin. You may have spent thousands of these pennies over your lifetime, but one of them just might be worth more than you could ever imagine. We're talking about a current market value that reached as high as $1.14 million, and yes, you heard that right, a humble penny worth over $1 million. So grab your seat and stick around as we unpack the full history, rarity and value of this legendary coin. Now, to understand why the 1976 Lincoln penny is so important, we first need to go back in time a bit. The Lincoln penny was first introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. This was the first U.S. coin to feature a real person, and it marked the beginning of a new era in American coinage. The design included the familiar profile of Lincoln on the obverse and the wheat ears on the reverse, which were later replaced in 1959 by the Lincoln Memorial design that continued through 2008. The 1976 penny belongs to that memorial era, and at first glance it looks like any ordinary coin, but there is more to the story. The year 1976 was already a significant year in the United States, marking the bicentennial, the 200th anniversary of the nation. Many commemorative coins were issued that year, including special quarters, half dollars and dollar coins, but interestingly, the Lincoln cent did not get a special bicentennial design and continued with the same look that makes the 1976 penny easily overlooked by collectors and average folks alike. However, some unique and incredibly rare variations were struck that year, and these are the coins that have stunned collectors and auction houses around the world. One of the main reasons certain 1976 pennies have skyrocketed in value is due to minting errors or rare planchets used in production. Some of these errors include double die strikes, off-center strikes, or even coins mistakenly struck on different metal compositions. During the 1970s, the U.S. Mint was experimenting with different materials due to rising copper prices, so there were cases where a penny could have been struck on a bronze planchet, a transitional planchet, or even on a foreign coin blank. These types of errors are extremely rare and can make the coin one of a kind. In one exceptional case, a 1976 Lincoln penny was discovered to have a double die obverse, meaning the front of the coin had a noticeable doubling of the letters and features. This type of minting error is highly sought after by collectors because it's not a common production flaw and it adds a unique dimension to the coin's value. In top condition, this kind of error coin has fetched over $50,000 at auction, and it doesn't stop there. Perhaps the most fascinating story comes from a specimen graded MS-67. Read by a top grading service, this coin was not only flawless in condition but also featured a rare striking error that made it totally unique. After extensive bidding by elite collectors and rare coin investors, the final sale price ended at $1.14 million. That's right, a single 1976 penny became a millionaire maker, proving that even the smallest coin can carry incredible worth when rarity and condition align perfectly. Now you might be wondering how to tell if you have a rare 1976 penny sitting in your coin jar or collection. The first thing to do is check the date and mint mark. Most 1976 pennies were minted in Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco. Coins with an S mint mark were proof coins struck with extra care and may be worth more depending on condition. However, the big money comes with error coins or exceptionally well preserved examples. Graded MS-66 or higher red color designation is also important, as it shows the coin has its original coppery shine without discoloration or wear. If you think you have a valuable coin, the next step is to avoid cleaning it, which could reduce its value drastically. Instead, consider sending it to a reputable grading service like PCGS or NGC. They will authenticate the coin, its condition, and any unique attributes. Once graded, it can be appraised and even entered into major auctions or sold to high-end collectors who are always looking for rare additions to their portfolio. So how many of these million-dollar pennies actually exist? The answer is not many. While millions of 1976 pennies were minted, only a few have the combination of perfect condition, rare errors, and historic value to reach those record-breaking prices. That's what makes coin collecting so thrilling. You never know what might be hiding in plain sight. A simple coin found in pocket change or an old family collection could hold incredible value waiting to be discovered. In today's market, coin values continue to fluctuate based on demand, rarity, and economic factors, but the 1976 Lincoln penny has become a symbol of what's possible when the ordinary becomes extraordinary, with auctions continuing to break records and collectors willing to pay premium prices. The fascination with these coins shows no signs of slowing down, so the next time you see a penny on the ground, don't ignore it. Take a closer look. You just might be holding a piece of history and potentially your next big payday. Who would have thought that a small copper coin from 1976 could be worth over $1 million? That's the magic of numismatics and the thrill Of the hunt. We are diving into the fascinating world of coin collecting, and more specifically we're going to explore the story behind the 1980 Lincoln 1-cent penny coin. Now hold on tight, because this is not just any old coin. This little copper beauty has a hidden history that might just surprise you, and if you happen to have one in your pocket or tucked away in a jar somewhere, it could be worth a small fortune. I'm talking about a current market value of up to $1.9 million in rare cases. Yes, you heard that right. So let's get started. First things first, let's talk about what the 1980 Lincoln cent is. The D mint mark stands for the Denver Mint, where these coins were produced. In 1980, the United States Mint struck over 5 billion Lincoln cents at the Denver Mint alone. That's a staggering number. These coins were made primarily of copper at the time, with a composition of 95% copper and 5% zinc. This was actually one of the last years before the composition changed due to rising copper prices. Starting in 1982, the U.S. Mint transitioned to a primarily zinc-based composition with a thin copper coating. But in 1980 we were still in the copper era. That alone gives these coins some collectible appeal. The obverse of the coin features the iconic bust of President Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner, whose initials can often be seen just beneath Lincoln's shoulder. The reverse side of the coin features the Lincoln Memorial, which was designed by Frank Gasparo. This design remained on the penny from 1959 until 2008. But what makes the 1980 Lincoln penny so special? After all, with billions minted, most of these coins are only worth their face value, or maybe a few cents in circulated condition. The answer lies in rare errors, high-grade conditions, and unique minting anomalies that make certain coins extremely valuable to collectors. Now let's dive into why one of these coins could be worth up to $1.9 million. Yes, it's rare, but it's real. One such coin sold at auction for that price due to a combination of factors. First, the coin was in pristine mint state condition, which means it showed no signs of wear or handling and had all the original luster. Second, it featured a double die error, which is when the coin is struck more than once in slightly different positions, creating a doubled image on the lettering or design. Double die errors are one of the most sought-after types of minting mistakes in the numismatic world. If the doubling is dramatic enough and the coin is in excellent condition, the value can skyrocket. Another factor that drove up the price was the coin's provenance. This particular coin had been graded by a top-tier grading company such as PCGS or NGC and had received a near-perfect grade of MS-68 or higher. Grading is extremely important in the coin world because it provides a standardized way to determine a coin's condition and authenticity. A coin graded MS-68 or MS-69 is extremely rare, especially for coins struck for circulation. Combine that with a dramatic mint error like a double die or off-center strike, and you've got a recipe for $1 million coin. But you may be wondering how to know if your 1980 penny is valuable. Great question. The first thing you should do is inspect your coin under good lighting. Look closely at the date, the mint mark, and the lettering, especially the word Liberty and the phrase "In God We Trust." If you notice any signs of doubling or misalignment, you may be looking at a valuable error. You should also check the overall condition of the coin. Is it clean, crisp, and shiny, or is it worn and scratched? Even small details can make a huge difference in value. If you think you may have a rare coin, the next step is to have it graded by a professional coin grading service. It might cost a bit of money, but it's worth it if your coin turns out to be valuable. Some grading services even offer pre-screening to help you determine whether your coin is worth submitting. Once graded, you'll have a certified coin with a clear grade and a potential to sell at auction or to private collectors. Now let's talk about the current market. While the average 1980 penny is only worth 1 cent or a few cents in circulated condition, high-grade examples can fetch hundreds or even thousands of dollars. In uncirculated condition, these coins can be worth $10 to $50 depending on the grade. But if you're one of the We explore the world of rare coins hidden in plain sight. If you have a penny jar lying around or a dusty drawer full of old change, you may want to check it after watching this video, because today we are talking about the 1987 Lincoln 1-cent penny coin, and believe it or not, some versions of this humble coin have been valued at over $1.8 million. Yes, you heard that right, a single penny potentially worth nearly $2 million. So grab a seat, get comfortable, and let us dive Into the fascinating story of this little copper giant. To understand the value of the 1987 penny, we need to take a step back into history. Let us begin with the origins of the Lincoln cent. First introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th birthday of President Abraham Lincoln, the Lincoln penny has remained one of the longest-running coin designs in American history. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the original wheat reverse was later replaced in 1959 with the Lincoln Memorial reverse designed by Frank Gasparo, and this design continued until 2008. Now let us fast forward to the year 1987. At first glance, the 1987 penny looks like any other. It features the familiar bust of Lincoln facing right with the word liberty to his left and the year 1987 under the motto "In God We Trust." But what makes some 1987 pennies so incredibly valuable is not what they were meant to be, but what went wrong during the minting process. You see, in the world of coin collecting, errors can mean big money, and the 1987 penny has some of the most elusive and dramatic errors known to collectors. First of all, let us talk about composition. The 1987 penny was supposed to be made of a zinc core with a thin copper plating. The United States Mint had switched from solid copper to copper-plated zinc in 1982 due to rising metal costs, but a very small number of 1987 pennies are believed to have been mistakenly struck using the old solid copper planchets. These rare examples weigh slightly more and are detectable with a precision scale. If you find one, it could be worth thousands to millions depending on condition and confirmation by grading experts. Then we have the extremely rare off-center strike errors where the penny was not aligned properly during minting. This causes a noticeable blank area on one side of the coin. The more off-center the strike, the more valuable the penny becomes. Some off-center 1987 pennies have sold for hundreds or even thousands at auction. There is also the double die error, in which the coin was struck twice with a slightly shifted design. This results in visible doubling in areas such as the date or the letters of liberty and "In God We Trust." These double die errors can be incredibly sought after, and again, the rarer the error and the better the condition, the higher the value. But the biggest and most mysterious story surrounding the 1987 Lincoln penny is one unconfirmed but widely reported case of a coin that fetched a jaw-dropping $1.8 million at a private auction. According to collectors' forums and rare coin dealers, this particular penny had a unique combination of a double die error and off-center strike, and was also struck on a bronze planchet leftover from pre-1982 coins. The coin was in pristine condition with a certified grade of MS-68 read by a top grading service, which is nearly unheard of for a coin that old. That perfect storm of rarity, historical error, and preservation created a value that defied logic. A simple 1-cent coin transformed into a millionaire's treasure. So where do you find these coins? How do you know if your 1987 penny is worth a fortune? First, get a digital coin scale and weigh your pennies. A normal 1987 penny should weigh about 2.5 grams, but a solid copper one will weigh around 3.1 grams. If you find a heavier one, get it examined by a professional numismatist or send it to a reputable grading company like PCGS or NGC. Next, examine the coin carefully under a magnifying glass or a microscope. Look for doubling in the letters or numbers, especially the date and the word liberty. Also check for any off-center striking or other abnormalities like missing details, planchet cracks, or lamination errors. Every unusual detail could mean more value. Now let us talk about the current market value. Most standard 1987 pennies are still only worth face value, especially if they are circulated and worn. However, a 1987 penny in mint condition with no errors, graded MS-65 red, could be worth $20 to $50. More dramatic error coins can fetch $100 to several thousand depending on the specifics, but those legendary specimens with multiple errors and unique features can command life-changing sums, like the one rumored to have sold for $1.8 million. And here is the key takeaway: rare coins do not always look shiny or special to the naked eye. They often slip through the cracks in our change jars, our dresser drawers, even at gas stations or vending machines. People all over the world are finding valuable coins in everyday circulation. That means you might be holding a hidden gem right now without even knowing it. So if you have a jar of change at home, take some time this weekend to go through your pennies, especially the ones from 1987. Use a scale, a magnifying glass, and a little patience. Who knows, you might just uncover a coin that changes your life forever. If you're holding a handful of pennies right now, you might want to take a closer look, because one of those copper-colored coins could be worth a life-changing amount of money. Today we are diving deep into the mysterious and surprising story behind the 1996 Lincoln 1-cent penny, a coin that many people dismiss as pocket change, but as we'll discover, this little coin could be worth up to $1.7 million in the current collector's market. That's right, a single penny turning into Nearly 2 million bucks. Now let's start from the beginning with a bit of coin history. The Lincoln cent was first introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th birthday of President Abraham Lincoln. It replaced the Indian head cent and was designed by Victor David Brenner. His iconic image of Lincoln on the obverse or front side of the coin has become one of the most recognized designs in American numismatics. Fast forward to 1996, the Lincoln penny was still going strong and the Denver Mint was one of 3 mints producing the 1-cent coin that year. The Denver Mint pennies are marked with a small letter D located just below the year 1996 on the right side of Lincoln's portrait. That D mint mark tells you this coin was minted in Denver, Colorado. Now you might be wondering what makes the 1996 D Lincoln penny so special. After all, billions of these coins were made. In fact, the U.S. Mint produced over 6 billion pennies in 1996 alone. So how does one of those end up being worth over $1 million? Here's where things get fascinating. Not all coins are created equal. Some leave the mint with errors or rare variations that make them incredibly valuable to collectors, and sometimes a coin remains in near perfect condition despite the passage of decades. That's where rarity meets demand and value skyrockets. So what makes the 1996 D penny potentially worth so much? First, let's talk about error coins. These are coins that were struck with a mistake at the mint, and depending on the type of error, they can be worth thousands or even millions. For example, a double die error where the design appears doubled on the coin, a wrong planchet error where the penny is struck on the wrong metal, a misaligned die or off-center strike, or even a transitional error where the coin features elements from 2 different minting years. In the case of the 1996 D penny, there are reports of coins that were struck with extraordinary mint errors that went unnoticed for years. These coins have been discovered in pristine condition with full original luster, strong strikes, and rare die varieties. One such coin, graded MS-70 by a top grading service like PCGS or NGC, has fetched prices over $1.7 million in private auctions and exclusive collector deals. Now keep in mind, these values are not the norm. Most 1996 D pennies are only worth face value, just 1 cent, but in top condition, especially with an error or unique feature, the value can skyrocket. Grading is key. A penny in average circulated condition is only worth a penny, but a mint state coin in near perfect shape could be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars, if not more. Collectors and investors are always on the lookout for coins that meet these high standards. So how do you know if you have a valuable one? First, examine your 1996 D penny under magnification. Look for doubling around the date or lettering. Check the edges for smoothness or signs of a misstrike. If the coin looks unusual, it could be an error. If it looks flawless, it might be a high-grade specimen. To get a proper evaluation, it's best to have the coin graded by a professional grading service such as the Professional Coin Grading Service or Numismatic Guarantee Company. They will authenticate the coin, examine it for rarity, and assign it a grade which can significantly affect its market value. Now let's talk about the current market. As of today, collectors have paid up to $1.7 million for an extremely rare 1996 D penny with top grade and exceptional rarity. The coin market continues to evolve and values can fluctuate depending on demand, condition, and new discoveries. Just like fine art or vintage cars, rare coins are investments, and the right buyer can drive the price sky high. So before you toss your pennies into a coin jar, take a moment and check those dates, especially if you spot a 1996 D penny, because that humble little cent might just be your ticket to a 7-figure payday. If you found this video helpful, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more fascinating coin stories, tips on spotting rare money, and updates on the hottest items in the world of numismatics. Have a coin you think might be valuable? Drop a comment below or share your story. We love hearing from fellow collectors and treasure hunters. Thanks for watching, and remember, always check your change. You never know what kind of fortune could be hiding in plain sight.